I always say that I was studying how to drop out. I didn't believe in myself for 2 years. The real secret to how I figured it out, once I started focusing on quality and customers first and making great stuff, everything just went to the moon. We quadrupled down on email and SMS marketing. You can spend $100 and get $100 of data back. If these people get your product and they don't like it, then they're not going to give any good feedback. You could have 50 clients or you could have one product.
All right, we are here with Jordan Welch, YouTuber, influencer, they're e-commerce expert, marketer, and dare I say now up-and-coming inspirational thought leader. How are we working with this? So Jordan, welcome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the introduction as well.
So we're going to do a couple things today. We're obviously going to dig into e-commerce. We're going to talk about starting businesses, challenges associated with that. We're going to have a lot of people listening today who are either just starting e-commerce businesses, they've started it, but they were at that tipping point of how do I grow and how do I grow successfully? So we'll talk about different marketing challenges here. I want to level set with you though. Let's talk a little bit about your background and figure out the perspective you're coming from. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into e-commerce.
Yeah, so I grew up in Fort Myers, Florida. Me, my mom, my stepdad, we just got it from the mud, like I like to say. We didn't grow up with money. We worked regular jobs. We moved from house to house my entire life. And from an early age, I always knew I wanted to start my own business because I watched my mom struggle, and she worked a 9-to-5, worked harder than anybody I knew, but we didn't even have that much money. So I knew I wanted to do something different. My first e-commerce business that I ever started was back when I was a freshman in high school. I started a clothing brand called Retrospect Clothing, and my mom and I took some blank t-shirts and we took them to a local screen printer, put some logos on them, and I hosted my website on something called Big Cartel. I don't even know if you know about that, but
I'm well aware of it.
That was my first business that I started in e-commerce, and that flopped. And over the years, I tried a couple different things while I was in high school, but I had my first big break with Shopify, a dropshipping store, all the way back in 2017. I took that business from 0 to over $1 million in just around a year. And that's what allowed me to drop out of college and go all in on e-commerce.
So Big Cartel, when I was launching a site years ago, I was torn between Magento at the time, which is now well known, Big Cartel, and Zencart.
Yeah,
and I went with Zencart. Probably
I don't even know about
decision.
That one. I don't remember that one. I remember Big Cartel back in the day, and some people were doing it on WordPress and stuff. But yeah, I think Big Cartel is still out there though.
Yeah, I want to step back a little bit. You're watching your mom struggle. Yeah. I think it's a very common story. People look at that a lot of times and say, "I want to start my own business." What about the entrepreneurial spirit caught you? Because a lot of people might look at that and go, you know what, I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get a good job to provide stability, because entrepreneurial nature, not necessarily always stable, right? It's a lonely world, can be a lonely world with no guarantee of success. Why did you want to go the entrepreneur route?
Well, to tell you the truth, even though my mom and, my stepdad worked regular jobs, like they always did stuff on the side too. So they were always making money outside of their jobs. So I always saw like, okay, you don't have to only make money from a job. And then the big shift happened was when I started to go on the internet a lot, when I got a laptop, when I was like, I think 11, 12 years old. And I started seeing on YouTube all these kids that were making money. That was like, for me, this shift of like, oh, okay, like if those guys are doing it, I'm just going to devote my whole entire life to trying to do what they're doing. I just envied them as a kid. I thought that they had it all figured out.
Okay. So you decide, I want to talk about your failure a little bit here. So come up with an idea, you launch a website, you got your store. It doesn't go well. How quickly, looking back at it now, how quickly did you realize it wasn't going well? And then how much further did you plug along with it until you finally decided, yeah, this is not the idea that's going to get me there?
Yeah, pretty quickly, but I wish I knew what I knew now, because when I had that first failure with that business, I had launched a collection. The first collection sold out. The second collection, I didn't even sell a single unit. So instead of looking at it and saying, what went wrong? How can we do better the next time? I just said, oh no, this whole project is a failure, and I gave up on it. And that was how I did all my businesses when I was in high school. Like if it didn't blow up right away, I just moved on to the next thing. So throughout high school, I probably failed on 5-6 different business models. these days I look at failure way differently.
So this will be Easter egg because I'm going to ask you about things you probably would have done later. Knowledge comes with age and experience. So I'm going to ask you about this a little bit later. So what was the reason you sold out and then you didn't sell anything? Was it something strategic you did? Was it you caught the wave at the right time? And second follow-up to that is, if you think you would have stuck through it and been like, hey, you know what? I looked at this. What worked here? Do you think it would have ultimately been successful if you just kept moving forward with it?
Yeah, I think I just was selling it only to my friends, and I only had like 10 friends and they didn't buy it the second time. And then since they didn't buy it, I thought, oh, I suck at this thing.
Okay.
So I didn't try to market it anywhere else. I didn't give it a good effort,
Yeah. Do you think you just didn't know enough back then?
Yeah, I didn't know enough, and I didn't understand that was necessary for me to push past. I was just thinking this isn't going to work for me.
Okay, so we move on from that. We go to the next business.
Yeah.
So talk to us about like the next step in that evolution.
Yeah. So the first money that I started to make, like the first time I made like $1,000, for example, was when I started reselling sneakers locally. So there was like a local sneaker page in my hometown, and I just took anything I could find online and put it on that local sneaker page, and I climbed my way up, and I started to resell pretty much 3, 4, 5 pairs of shoes every single week. And it wasn't making a lot of money, but it was the first time I felt like I had any money coming in. And then from building up my name in that sneaker page, I started hosting sneaker events. So I hosted a big local conference in my hometown where people could buy, sell, and trade shoes. That was when I was like 16 years old. And that was a big shift for me. Like that was the first day that I really felt like I was like gonna make it in my life, because there was like 100-something people there. And the local news came out and interviewed me. I don't have the news coverage. I wish I had it to look back on, but it was one of those days that like things shifted for me.
Where do you take it from there? So a lot of people, especially if you're starting out, you get something like that. It's hard to sustain that wave or sustain that momentum and move forward to the next thing. So where'd you go from there? So were you able to sustain that, or did you get the natural lull that dropped off and then you had to kind of rejigger like your focus on that business?
Yeah, I mean, everything came crashing down after that sneaker event. I put $2,000 into it between me and my business partner. And when it was all said and done, I was left with less than I had to begin with after paying for everything. So again, I was at failure level 0. And instead of saying, how can I do this event better and smarter, I just said, oh, this business sucks. So I kept doing this cycle. And a lot of people do this thing. If their business doesn't succeed in the first couple months, they just give up on it completely. And that failure put me in a bad state of mind about business for like 2 years. Like I stopped. I'm not saying I didn't do a little hustling here and there, like reselling stuff, but I didn't believe in myself for 2 years. And then it finally was time to go to college, and I ended up going to college. And that was when I was like, I can either go this route or I can give the business thing one last try. And that's when I found Shopify, and that's when I started dropshipping. And that was the last effort that really took off.
Awesome. We love Shopify at Omnisend. What'd you go to college for? What was your major?
I always say that I was studying how to drop out.
Okay. Did you actually declare for something? Did you just go and be like,
I was a freshman. So all I had to do was do the, what do you call them?
Like the intro courses and stuff. Yeah.
Like the basic stuff, economics and
What was it about? Did you not like college? Like, was it not for you, or did you just find yourself thinking about e-commerce the whole time?
I mean, you just got to think that from like 13 years old, all that I ever wanted of my life was to be a young, successful, like internet kid. And now here I am at 18 and I'm doing the opposite of that. So I hated college. I hated that I was not who I wanted to be.
Okay.
Like college wasn't aligned with my self-image of who I wanted to be.
So I talk to a lot of people, different professions all the time. And the one common thing that I hear, the purpose of those conversations is, how do you decide on a career? What do you want to do? And the common theme is define your why. And I think you have, like, you are looking at your why right there and you're going, this isn't for me, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of those takeaways, that find your why, find your passion and follow it. Okay. So you discover Shopify. Walk us through what happens then.
Yeah. So me and my best friend at the time, he's really talented with design and I'm really good with video editing. So we just said, yo, let's do something. And at that time, the fidget spinner trend was really hot back in 2017. So we built up a store selling those. And I found out about dropshipping from doing research about building this business. And we were able to get our first sale within like a day or two, just because we understood the basics of everything, but nothing more than that. We would get like one sale here, one sale here. But that was enough for me to see like a light in the future. Like, okay, this thing can actually work. So the whole summer, I devoted every waking second of my day to either working out or working on the Shopify store. And after testing 15, 20 products on this store, running out of money, selling stuff, editing videos for people to get more money to run ads, literally just survival mode. Like if I don't figure this out by the end of summer, by the end of summer, we had the business successful. It was doing around like $1,000, $2,000 a day. And that wasn't $1 million status, but that was enough for me to say, okay, maybe I can drop out of college and go all in on this thing. And I did. And 1 month after the next semester started, the business was trailing close to $100,000 a month.
Okay. So you're paying your rent. You're probably living on cloud nine by that point, right?
Yeah, because I had no real expenses. Like I had like a 2001 Honda, amazing car. I miss it sometimes. It's really nice. And I had an apartment that I was renting with my 3 friends. So I was paying like $490 a month. And yeah, so all this money was just able to be accumulated. And I just kept putting it back into the business. And yeah, I was on cloud nine for sure back then. That was good.
So a couple of years ago, I got rid of a 2001 Altima, and I missed that car, to be honest with you. So these 2001s, there was something about that.
It was special, yeah.
Okay, so you said you launched a website. You don't really know what you're doing on it, but you start to see a couple sales trickle in. And I think this is a common theme that even now it's easy to launch a website. You can go to Shopify. You can have a store up and running in 20 minutes, connect it with platforms like email marketing and all that stuff. How did you figure out what to do? Because I think this is the one thing where even people that start businesses now, they have an idea about what they want to do. They launch a website and then they're like, well, now what? Like, how do I get more traffic? How do I do this? How did you figure that out?
I was good enough to be able to look at somebody else's store or video and like replicate it like one-to-one. That was an advantage that I had that allowed me to like skip the line. In a way. I always say that like you can go to marketing school to learn marketing, or you can just replicate the best ads of all time. And now you're suddenly a marketing genius. And that's how I learned. So if I didn't know how to make a product page, I would go look at whoever has the best product page for this thing and just try to get as close to it as I could. And after doing this on 10, 20, 30 products, well, everybody's is different. So you end up taking all the best elements from all these best performing stores, and suddenly you understand what to do. I watched YouTube videos too. I never really paid for any courses, but I went through some free courses. But the real secret to how I figured it out was just ripping from the best performing stores and video ads. And very quickly, it taught me the best practices.
So I had this conversation with someone who just launched a store probably a year ago and knew nothing about e-commerce, goes in there, had this idea, passion project, everything set up. And like, I got no traffic, which is the common theme. So 2017 and now, world of difference. 2017 to 2010, a world of difference.
Yeah.
How much were you spending approximately to generate traffic and awareness for that particular site?
Yeah, so I was using Facebook ads. I love Facebook ads, even still to this day. I was spending whatever I had when I was in the beginning trying to find a winning product. So if I launched a new product, I would probably put it at like $50 to $100 a day, testing a campaign with 10 different ad sets. That was sort of the strategy back then. And if the product didn't work in a day or two, I would just move on to another one. I was really aggressively testing products to find one that was resonating. And once I found one, then I would go in and try to optimize it and make it better. But around 100 a day.
Okay. How scary was that? Because you had these other businesses that they didn't take off, or they might have taken off if you stuck through them, but you had success and you dropped down to zero. You had this one, you got a couple sales and you're like, oh, there might be something here. but you only have a couple sales. So putting $100 a day seems like a scary feat to me. How nervous were you with that?
It was terrifying because think you maybe only have $300 in your account and you're turning on a switch that says we're going to spend $100 a day, whether you like it or not. But the thing about Shopify, and I think why so many people get hooked on that business model, is like you get these little hits of dopamine. So even if your campaign wasn't successful, you're still going to get maybe 1 or 2 sales. So it always feels like you're 12 steps away from gold. You ever see that thing where the guy is like mining and there's diamonds 1 step away from him? It always feels like that. So I was scared, but I knew that if I didn't figure that out in that summer, I was never going to become an entrepreneur.
That's fair. Same thing with the ads. Was it the learning curve for it? Because ad learning curve is varying based on the platform you're on. Same type of research. Did you look at competitors' ads and be like, oh, I like that? Or did you do like online classes? Like, how did you figure out the ad portion of that?
100% learned just by looking at the best performing ads. And that is the fastest way to learn how to do anything, in my opinion. I also would join communities and find people who were making more money than me. Not the people that were making $1 million a month, but maybe the guy that's making $100 a day. When I'm making $20 a day, he's making 5 times more than me. So he's, in theory, 5 times better than me at this thing. So I want to learn from him. And I would progressively learn from people higher and higher up. And these are 2 things that I still do to this day.
Did you have the Shopify ding on every time you got a sale for your phone?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I lived for it. I would put it next to my ear when I sleep, and it would wake me up in the middle of the night, and I would wake up and get motivated and go on my computer and work for a couple hours. It was like I lived for that feeling because it's the sound of freedom.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it.
When you made your first, I don't know whether it was the first sale or the first big moment, who was the first person you called?
My business partner.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then probably my mom after. But she didn't really get it until it started to make some more serious money.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, first sale, that was my business partner.
Not discouraging, but like, was she ever encouraging a different route for you? Like, hey, you should stay in college, or did she just know, hey, this is what Jordan wants to do. I'm gonna just let him go with it.
I can remember one specific instance when I started to make a little bit of money. Maybe I was making 20 grand a month in sales. And I remember I went to the kitchen and she was in the kitchen. And I remember I just showed her my phone and I was like, hey, look, like last month my business made like 20 grand. But she didn't believe that it was real. She didn't understand. She was like, well, like, what is this? Like, is this going to last? Like, it wasn't that she didn't believe in me because my mom believes in me more than I believe in myself. It was just some fear. She was a little scared. Like, are you sure that this is real and legit? Well, that was her concern.
The parents want the best for their kids, right?
Yeah.
So they're always cautious. I'm a parent of 2 kids. I want the best for mine, right? So it's a natural feeling there. It's a tug and pull. So
yeah,
it's good that she was encouraging of that, right? So a lot of people, this is startups, regardless of the business, e-commerce, technology, whatever. There's always hesitation from outside people because they either don't get it or it's not the quote unquote safe route, right? So there's a lot of hesitation, but they'll always tell you it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, go for it. But hey, have you thought about this? So it's good to hear that you had that supporting cast. If you think you had an opposite cast, like, no, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, right? The college, a career model. Do you think you would have been not as successful, but do you think you would have still had that drive to do that if everyone in your ear was telling you something else?
It's hard to say, but I would like to say yeah, because nobody except for my mom was kind of believing in this thing. Like, it was just me, and I believed in it more than anybody else did at that time. So I like to say yeah.
Okay.
I like to say yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so you start running with this, you start making some money on it, you're pushing through. Walk us through the next stage of what you did next. How did your marketing evolve over that time? Obviously, the world changed over that time, but kind of walk us through the next maybe couple of years, whatever makes sense for you from your perspective.
Yeah, so in the process of making that first $1 million, I made a huge mistake. So I was running a general dropshipping store back then, testing a bunch of different products, and I would make like 200 grand with this product and then nuke it, 300 grand with this product, nuke it, and just keep this cycle going over and over again. And through that process, I was never building any equity, any real brand, any solid quality product. It was just sell as much of this as I can until the ads don't work. And that caught up to me because I reached a point where I couldn't find another product that was super profitable. And this was ironically at the same time that I moved to California and 10x'd my expenses. So imagine that you make all this money, you move to a much more expensive lifestyle, and then your business stops working. And that was how the next year or two went for me in the e-commerce world until I completely ran out of money and I had to start over again from scratch. And once I started again, I went into it with a completely different approach of instead of doing a general store, I'm going to focus on trying to find one product that is successful and try to become the number one seller of that product. Best quality, highest quality looking store, custom advertising. And that changed everything for me with e-com. I made some money with the dropshipping general store stuff, but once I started focusing on quality and customers first and making great stuff, everything just went to the moon.
When you, cost of lifestyle obviously impacts this, but you said your business, right? Business started going down. So you have this compounding effect on overall expenses and income. When that starts to go down and you start to lose money and you go kind of back to ground zero again. Now, understandably, the other ones, you were super young, right? High school, no one's going to hold like a high school failure to you, but you had these multiple run-ins with kind of going from here to here. Did any sort of imposter syndrome or anything set in with you after you've actually had success and then bottomed again?
Yeah, absolutely. Because at that time, I was also doing YouTube videos. So I was talking about e-commerce on my YouTube channel while my store was literally in the gutter. So I was the ultimate imposter syndrome, you know? I kept making those videos because I had cultivated a community. It wasn't a big community, but there was like 1,000 people, 2,000 people that would watch all my stuff. And they were getting results and I was helping them. So I felt like, well, let me keep doing this. I want to take care of them. But yeah, I definitely felt like imposter syndrome.
How do you get up from that?
It was a really dark time at that point in my life. The solution was right in front of my face the whole time, but I just didn't do it. It was start making money with e-commerce again. And once I started having success with the brand that I just told you about, my whole life shifted. Not only did my little YouTube community take off, but my bank account exploded. My internal happiness was better. I felt aligned. I was aligned because I wasn't the imposter anymore. Like I was actually who I said I was to the world, and I was making really good money.
Okay,
that helps too.
Through this, you start going through it, so you're having success again. Let's talk about marketing channels for a little bit. I'm assuming you're doing everything, right? You're doing paid social, paid search, email marketing. Walk us through the different types of channel in the mix that you were using.
So that was another big mistake I made with the first business, was that I was just doing Facebook ads. But once I started this brand, the way I scaled it up was focusing on hitting every channel that I could. So we quadrupled down on email and SMS marketing. And instead of just using generic stuff, we tried to actually make campaigns and give quality. And that was 20%, 15% of our entire business was just internal customer revenue from email. And then not only did we do Facebook this time around, but we were doing YouTube ads, which nobody else was doing at the time in my space. And we were doing Snapchat ads. TikTok was just starting to come up around that time. So we were doing TikTok ads. Put this product everywhere that you could think of. And the difference between back then and that era was that instead of focusing on 1 million products, now I'm focusing on as many channels as I can with one product. And that snowballs way better than the other one.
It's got to be harder to scale, I've got to imagine as well, right? You've got more things to be mindful of. You need people to create emails and stuff. So how were you able to scale the operational side as you were growing? Did you have enough income coming in where you could hire people for that? How much did you do for yourself? Walk us through kind of that operational scaling, if you could.
I like to be hands-on with the things that I'm good at. So once I start making money, I try to put experts in position to do all the other stuff. once the brand started making like $30K a month, I hired somebody to come in and manage all of our email marketing and SMS marketing. And that helped a lot because their whole drive and their whole job was just think of campaigns and think of messaging for the people. Bringing on that hire made us hundreds of thousands of dollars over the span of the business. I did the same across, customer support. And at the end, we even had a general manager of all the operations. That's what made the business sellable because I ended up selling that company in the end of it all because of the systems that we had built throughout the way.
Awesome. Let's talk about email just for a second here.
Yeah.
So email, I've been in the market for 19 years, which is crazy to think about. And I wasn't necessarily new. Like it was the Wild West back then, but it was around. It's been around for a long time. It's not the sexiest, right? TikTok, social media, these are the cool, the quote unquote cool things to do, but they're a lot more visual. Walk us through kind of when you first started going to email, did you have a preconceived notion about it? And how have you seen it kind of morph over time? Because it is not the sexiest thing, but it works.
The way I see email is if you have a big list, it's one of the most valuable things that you could have. Like I see email in a way as like a store of value. Like if you have a company and that company has 1 million emails in a specific industry, you have a valuable asset right there without even the company itself. So in that regard, I think it's one of the best things that you should try to get. I like SMS as well, even a little bit more for that direct communication with customers. I think people are going to be more likely to open up the text message, but the emails, they convert, especially if you send quality. Like you have an inbox that's probably flooded with emails, but there's those 3 or 4 people or companies that send you emails that every time you see it, you're like, okay, I'll check that out. If you build that relationship with people, that's your nonstop way to communicate with them. Everybody checks their email every day. It's like one of those things that we do.
So do you do it as well?
Check my email?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So this is the one thing that people would keep saying, like, oh, it's old, no one does it anymore, young kids don't do it. I'm like, yeah, they do, right? So, email open rates, we do these stats, like we send 24 billion messages a year. Open rates are going up year after year. They went up almost a whole percentage point to 26%. It's almost a third of people that get an email opening now.
Yeah.
Which I find fascinating, right? And I think as the cost of ads and things like that, I see more brands, higher ROI, more controllable, cheaper to do. More brands are shifting back to that. How many SMS programs do you sign up for personally?
I'm very picky about it because my phone is like a very sensitive thing. Like my personal number, I don't want to sign up. But if I really like a company or if I see some crazy offer that they have, maybe sometimes I'll do it. But less than 2 a month, like next to none, All
right. Are your friends, do you find your friends are kind of the same thing?
I don't know. I don't know their behaviors with SMS, but email I'm a little more free with. Okay. I'll give my email out pretty easily. I have 2 different emails too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It's a smart thing to do.
Yes.
I'm still trying to transition off like a Hotmail one from like 30 years ago. And I'm like, I got my Gmail, but I'm trying to slowly move stuff over there as well. So you don't talk shop, like your friends and stuff? You don't be like, oh, do you sign up for SMS messages from brands? Like this never comes up over dinner or anything?
No, I haven't really. But when I'm around my e-com friends, we'll talk more about like what strategies are they using to grow their business, or we'll talk more about, because I'm mainly hanging out with entrepreneurs. Like most of my friends own their own businesses. So we'll talk more about like what are their customers doing or what are they doing to get new customers?
What are some of those things any trends you've identified over like the last, say, 2 years? Because the economy is shifting.
Yeah.
Buying behaviors are shifting. They're shifting over the last 6 months. But any particular trends you've seen across the board from your conversations that you think the audience might be relatable to?
Yeah, the big shift these days is focusing on TikTok Shop and TikTok Organic. Like if you can get your product positioned there, you end up creating this snowball like crazy because you have thousands and thousands of people just fighting to get views for your product. Like before you had to pay people to make a video to promote your product, and now people are like fighting for the chance to get a little bit of kickback from that. This whole concept of like people getting rewarded for creating content is the next wave. We see it not only in e-commerce, but we see it in the YouTube and content side as well. People getting rewards for clipping other people's content. Like that's the new wave.
Okay. So we recently did a study on a reports page looking at TikTok virality with products and how they sell on Amazon, and figure out top sellers in Amazon over, say, a 30, 60-day span. And how viral were they on TikTok? There's a pretty big overlap there. Some of them are main corporations, right? So you've got just potential reach there. Your friends, do they wind up selling on TikTok? Do they also have products listed on Amazon where if people want to navigate off and do a general search on, say, Amazon or something, do you find they're almost coupled? Like you've got to be on Amazon if you're selling on TikTok Shop.
Yeah, that's the smartest thing you could do. There's a guy right now, his name is Santa Cruz Medicinals. He sells electrolytes and healthy biohacking stuff. And he's killing it on TikTok and on TikTok Shop. And you can find his products on Amazon. The model that he's using for that business is sort of the new wave of direct-to-consumer type of brands. You have people talking about this product. You give them something that they can make content about, and then people can go buy it anywhere. That's the way to do it.
I'm going to put you in a consultant hat. Okay. If I am starting an e-commerce business today, I go on Shopify, throw my site up, integrate my marketing platforms. What would you advise me? Like, what are my first 3 steps you would tell me to do?
Personally, I would try to, well, it depends. What's your budget? Are you somebody that has no money, or do you have a little bit of something to invest?
Let's go like a modest budget. So let's say I'm going to start and I've got $5,000 I can invest in. And then once my 5,000's up, I'm tapping out.
Yeah, for me, if you've got $5,000, the first thing you should do is try to get some momentum yourself with paid ads. That's what worked for me. And that's still one of the best ways to launch your business today, because you can immediately get feedback. You can spend $100 and get $100 of data back that can help you figure out what's going wrong in your business. So I would say find a product, see what's working in the world today, make a list of a couple products, build a store in one specific industry, whether you want to do beauty or you want to do health or you want to do home improvement, build a store in that industry and start experimenting with those products on either TikTok or Facebook ads. And once you find that first product that starts to get some traction, that's when you want to go all in on it and try to make that product your own. Start communicating with the manufacturer, get the quality up, start to brand your store to focus more on that product specifically. And more importantly, start to make it so you can get that product on to TikTok Shop and on these platforms where other people can make content around it. But it's impossible to get to that last step if you're just starting with dropshipping. You have to get something that's decent, good quality, because if these people get your product and they don't like it, then they're not going to give any good feedback.
Fair. So you've mentioned $100 a couple of times, like $100 a day.
Yeah.
Might have been what worked for you. I kind of see this $50 to $100 kind of like testing algorithm, like, hey, do these 5 different ads, do this much, see which one works, pour gas on the fire, kick out the duds. Mm-hmm. Is 100 kind of the sweet spot across the board, or is that just what has always worked for you?
It's just a nice round number. All you're going to get is some data back anyway. So if you've got more money, you can put more money to get more data. But with $100 testing a product, you're going to be able to see something. You're going to be able to see if people are clicking, if anybody's buying. That's a good number for me to see some base data.
And would you advise me to do like a couple different ads, or just do one ad, do it for $100? Does it work? And then just slowly adjust from day to day? Or should I do like 3 versions of an ad over $100 and then?
You definitely got to make more versions of your creative, because I found that that's the thing that makes the biggest difference in the performance of the campaign. So I would say make at least 3 different versions of your ads. We just did a challenge recently where I started over from scratch and I built a e-commerce business to $2,000 a day in less than a week. And what we did was we found something that was working and just made 4, 5, 6 different type of ads around that product until we found one that worked. And then when we found the one that worked, then we just recreated that one specifically. So we took that template and then we recreated that. And you sort of get to understand which style is going to be the most successful.
Any across the board tips that you've noticed with the creative side of things for what works better than others? Is it, one word that's large, numbers that are in your face? Is it a lifestyle product image? Anything specific that kind of runs across the board? Because you see this on YouTube thumbnails all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should do this, like those things change, but you've got to have a good thumbnail. Anything from the creative side that you kind of see as the current trend?
I mean, it's hard because there's 1,000 different formats that you could have success with. I think the best way to look at it is find examples of other people that have done this product or this type of ad and see what's working for them and make a little list of the top performing ads within that space. You're going to have much better success with that than taking a general tip that I give you now. Because if I say like, start your video with this hook every time, well, that might not be relevant to your industry. We might be in two different fields. So the best thing I would say is study what's working for other creators. And also, let's say you're having a store selling baby products. You should live in that world on the internet. You should make a separate account on TikTok and you should only engage with baby content. And even if you're not seeing products, you're going to be able to see what's trending in that industry and what words they use and their little universe. You get to be a part of that. That would be the biggest tip I would say is like live in the universe of whatever industry you're in.
Okay. That's a really good tip because a lot of people, one, they'll get tunnel vision, right? And they'll only focus on the brand. This tunnel vision from like a product standpoint, product. They miss it. The noise on the outside. And it's good noise. But you're saying get a separate account from, you've got your brand account and then just like a personal account and follow the trends?
Yes.
Yep. And why a separate one? Is it just to feed the algorithm so you're not getting hit with ads all the time or the content's different? Or?
Well, we tend to use our personal accounts. So they become tailored to our personal interest. So if you have a separate account for your brand research, it's only going to be focused on that industry. It's going to be a bit more organized.
Makes tons of sense. Okay, so you've gone through, you've been successful from the e-commerce side. Drop shipping is a tough business that's changed a lot it's probably changed 20 times in the last 10 years, right? Success of it. I think COVID kind of accelerated these things because one, e-commerce blew up during COVID. But a lot of that has stuck true, but everyone was drop shipping then, right? And we saw a lot of those businesses kind of collapse during that time. What's your kind of state of drop shipping now? Is it something that if someone wants to start, they should still get into? Are there cautionary tales with drop shipping in the current state of things? How would you kind of rate the industry as a whole?
I still feel that e-commerce and dropshipping is one of the best business models in the world. Not only because it changed my life, but because once you find something that is working, it's the most scalable opportunity out there. Everybody always says build an agency because it's easy to get started. And I actually agree that it's easier to start with an agency. You just call up 200 people, you sign one person, you're making your first $2,000 a month. But to scale an agency past $100,000 a month versus to scale an e-commerce business past $100,000 a month, it's a night and day in difference. You could have 50 clients or you could have one product. So for me, I like e-commerce a lot. I think it's one of the best opportunities out there, especially with the introduction of TikTok and TikTok Shop. You don't even have to start your own store to make money off of this e-commerce wave. You can just become a creator on TikTok Shop. I go to this cafe every single morning here in Miami, and one of the workers there, he's become a friend of mine. And I told him to start doing TikTok Shop content. And he was able to have some videos pop off and get to the point where he was making more doing just videos on TikTok than he was making on his job. And recently he DM'd me that he quit. He doesn't work there anymore because he's just creating for other brands. So when people think about e-commerce, they always think, oh, I have to build a dropshipping store and I have to make 10 million. But no, like you can be a creator. You can work for an e-commerce company. You can build your own app for other e-commerce stores. Like there's a lot of ways to get a piece of this pie.
Okay. And you mentioned when you started, fidget spinners were hot, so you identified a hot product or a trending product. So if someone wants to start and they go, okay, I'm going to do the drop shipping, what's your recommendation for trying to identify that hot product? Do you get something that's currently hot, or do you try to get on obviously you want to be earlier than later, but like how do you identify one, the product, and two, whether the timing is right?
You definitely have to spend way too much time on the internet and just being in this world, you will find different things that are starting to trend. If you make an account, like I said, especially in a specific industry, this is the shortcut. I'll use the example that I used before of the baby niche. Like if I had a TikTok that was fully convinced that I was a mom and I only looked at baby videos, the chances of me finding what's trending or what they want is 10 times higher than on a general account. And also, if you read comments on these videos, you'll find a lot of the problems that people are having. You can reverse engineer it by saying, what are the biggest problems that this industry is having? But I've had much more success just by finding the stuff that's already working, finding the products that are already doing well.
It's really good advice. Are there any favorite dropshipping tools or, we'll just go tools. Any dropshipping tools that you like?
For product research, no, I just say like use the platforms themselves. Like I had my own product research tool that we built and did very good with it. But even in the training of that program, I tell people like, hey, like use the platforms because the platforms are where you're going to get the most up-to-date content. So a lot of times people join or they get started with e-commerce and then they spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on all these tools and courses and consulting and everything. But you don't have to do that every time.
Yeah. So you built this product. You sold that 2 years ago now, 2025.
Yeah,
so 2023.
Ago. Yeah.
What took you from, hey, I'm dropship, I have an e-commerce store, to I'm going to build a software product? Like how did you make that connection? How did you get there and decide, yeah, this is the model I want to go through?
Well, it happened on accident because when I was in LA and I ran out of money, I needed to start something new. And instead of starting e-commerce, I decided to start a software business. So it just kind of spun up that way. But it grew into something much bigger over the years, especially once my YouTube channel started popping off. All these people started joining and I started making money with it again. So I doubled down on it and I tried to make it its own thing. And that's when we really made a special platform. We customized our entire app. We made something different. And that was a process that it started in 2018. So from starting it to selling it took me 6 years.
Okay.
And over the years it evolved. We went through like 10 different versions of the app. I had a team of around 11 people working for me and it was a good run. Yeah.
So you're not a software developer, right? So I'm assuming you got a partner that knows how to do that you started building it. And I'm assuming the platform itself was just kind of following the research that you were already doing at the time, right? How to identify products and things like that. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I just had a partner that was helping me develop everything. And then I was having daily products uploaded over there. And I was also having education and a community aspect to it as well.
What do you find to be the most challenging part of running an e-commerce business?
I would say you have to always focus on keeping your customers happy if you want to actually succeed. And people can be hard to please sometimes. So over the years, that was our challenge. And towards the end, we had a pretty good thing going. We had fast shipping, good product, good packaging, good customer service. But to build that was the hardest thing. Launching a store and getting sales is super easy. Keeping thousands of customers happy every week, that's a challenge.
What was kind of the elixir to that? So you're going to have more happy customers than unhappy customers, but the unhappy ones tend to make the most noise, right? So we live in an era now, like you said, hey, look at the comments, figure out what people are complaining about or what the broken parts are, and you'll get a pretty good understanding, but that could negatively impact your business as well. So what was your strategy for dealing with the unhappy people?
Well, we had a good customer service team and they were very easy to get in contact with. So if you sent an email, we had an SOP that they had to respond within 2 hours and we had multiple people there. So it was any time zone, they're going to get a response. We also had a phone line, which a lot of brands these days don't use because it's expensive and it's a headache. But those little things make a huge difference. You know how it feels when you have a problem with a company and you call them and it doesn't go to AI, but it actually goes to a human. How good does that feel?
Great.
It's rare these days.
I've been saying for a couple of years, customer service is that might be your biggest differentiator now because it's becoming very homogenized. It's becoming very robotic and it's becoming a lot more frustrating.
Yeah. AI ruined it in a way. Like it made it so every company had an easy out for that. But if you just have humans answering the phone, it makes a big difference. And more than anything is product. Like we went through so many iterations of the product over the years to get to the point where we had one that was decent. That process gets skipped by a lot of people. They find something that's selling really well and they just sell the first version as much as they can. Whereas we kept customizing it. And that's the thing that matters the most. Even if it takes a week, 2 weeks to get a product, when it shows up, if it's quality, you're happy about it.
Let me ask you about, I'm going to have you put your consumer hat on if you can.
Okay.
Half consumer, half business owner.
Sure.
So you're launching a store, hot product, right? Drop shipping on this thing. And at some point it's going to fade away. And I know you mentioned that I moved away from that, built a brand now. But when you're doing that, say you have a social channel for it, right? You're going to have very few followers. A lot of people just won't even do a social channel for the handle. But that is a part of consumer research now. I know if I'm shopping with a brand that I don't know about, I'm going to go to their social profiles. I'm going to see, are people complaining about it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it legit, right? These things. How do you... One, as a business owner, how do you balance, like, do we open a social account or not? And then as a consumer, does that ever give you pause when you're shopping with a new brand?
Yeah, I always look at their social media a lot of times if I never heard of the brand, or most of the time I'll find them through their social media accounts.
Okay.
But a lot of times when I buy stuff, I just buy it on Amazon. Like, I buy almost everything through Amazon now, if I'm being honest. So.
What's the worst thing you bought on Amazon?
The worst thing I bought on Amazon? It's a good question. I buy a lot of random stuff on Amazon. Just last week, I bought 9 magnifying glasses for a video we were shooting because I needed to find the right magnifying glass.
Okay.
That's bad use of money, I think.
Oh, you could just return the other 8.
I could, but you asked me the dumb thing I bought. Getting 9 glasses to my house shipped was, yeah.
Did you get the right magnifying glass?
We did, yeah.
Success, right? How can you go wrong?
Yes.
All right, so if someone is launching a site, like, how do they determine which social sites? Is it just create the accounts on the platforms you're going to do the ads on? Or even if you're doing a Facebook ad, like, don't even, like, you start it because you need the property to run the ads, but beyond that, like, don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
What is that balance between investing time, investing in a new social handle that has no following versus, hey, we're just going to skip this and just focus on, running ads? Like, there's a balance there.
You got to dominate one platform.
Okay.
Ideally, let it be the platform that you're running ads on. Because if I see a TikTok ad and then I go to the page and they also have 400,000 followers, my chances of buying from that ad just went up by 1,000,000% because now I know that they're legit. So you need to dominate one platform. Instead of being on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, pick your platform and stick to that. Most of the biggest brands that get launched today start first by dominating one platform, and then they begin to plug in the other ones.
Okay. Do you buy on TikTok Shop just personally, or do you always go to either the website or to like Amazon or something?
I have bought something from TikTok Shop, but I don't go on TikTok that much in general. Yeah, but I have. It's a good experience.
Is it?
Yeah, actually. I thought it wasn't, but it actually is good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I want to talk about AI just for a second because you mentioned that before, and I don't want to get too far away from that conversation. So customer service, one of the things with AI that is all the rage, I say all the rage, but in the retail industry now is like they're starting to develop tools where you can have the AI do the search for you and then buy the products for you. Is that something you ever think you'll be comfortable relying on an AI tool to make purchases on your behalf?
Like, give me an example of something it would buy, like my groceries or something?
No, so like I'm looking for a black sweatshirt, right? Uh-huh. So I'm like, hey, black sweatshirt, extra large, but not too baggy because I've got lanky arms, right? It's like, here's the sweatshirt I like. Go find me a better price for it, right? And the tool just goes out there and it's going to try to find the closest possible thing and then just make the purchase for you if it finds it.
I like that up until the point where it makes the purchase. I would like it to give me the 2 or 3 best suggestions for that thing and let me make the final purchase. But I love AI. I mean, as dystopian as it is, you're either going to use it or you're going to get left behind. So AI is a big part of my workflow these days.
Okay. What's your favorite AI tool to use?
ChatGPT.
What particular do you use it for?
Everything. Literally everything. Like I'll ask for like workout plans and I'll ask for diet advice and I just got lab work done and I have an appointment with my doctor. But before the appointment with my doctor, I send the lab work to ChatGPT and it does a full analysis. For business, sometimes I'll use it to come up with content ideas. Sometimes I'll use it to help with the scripting of the videos. If I have a business idea, I'll get it reviewed by ChatGPT. It's kind of like having a consultant with you at all times. But the one thing I don't do is blindly take what it says as the correct answer. I use it as more of like a brainstorm, like let's bounce ideas off of this thing.
Awesome. So I do it for medical stuff too. Like I just had I was waiting for a call from a doctor for like a skin diagnosis thing. And I was like, I got the thing in the portal. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to throw it in there.
Gave a good answer, huh?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry because it took me a week to get the call and it wasn't that bad. So
are you guys using AI with Omnisend now?
We do it all over the place. Yeah, we have it built into the platform, bunch of places, so subject line, product description generators. We use it as a workflow standpoint as well. So we'll use Gemini, ChatGPT. We'll create GPTs for LinkedIn posts and all that stuff. So we use it across the board.
Yeah, it helps a lot with the email side, especially coming up with the campaigns and coming up with the subject lines and coming up with all the content of the email. That's something that AI is getting really good at.
Yeah. And, you got to figure out how to use it. Like I do a lot of writing and I can just sometimes get stuck and I get this writer's block.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I'll just go and I'll plug stuff in there and be like, hey, give me an intro for this. Or I'll just ask it to reformat it in 800 or 1,000 words just to see what it spits out. And maybe it jostles something in my brain. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a thing there.
Yeah,
so,
it helps a lot.
it gets out of that. So I'm going to ask you about workouts in a little bit too. Do you say, looking at 24, because we're early in 2025 relatively, compared to 3 years ago, like what is the biggest shift in the e-commerce industry that you've seen?
The introduction of AI is a big one. There's a lot of people that are even doing full AI created videos on TikTok that are going viral. I saw this one where this girl was like saying that she was the ex-wife of the Prince of Saudi. And it was a completely fabricated AI story. And even the girl was fake. And the video has like 100 million views. And the whole video is saying that like she got this product from him that allowed her to age slower. And everybody believed it in the comments. Like it actually tricked 100 million people. And then it came out that it was AI and it was a whole big story. Maybe you have to look it up. But that is such a big thing that you can make all your videos or you can make whole marketing campaigns without human involvement is huge difference. Like that's one of the biggest differences.
It is. Does that make it give you pause about humanity that so many people fell for that?
Nah, because people in general are a bit like naive when it comes to content. Like it's just the internet. It's hard. It's hard to tell what's real and what's fake these days. Unless you're like really tapped in, you're not going to be able to tell that video is fake.
You have any predictions about where we're going over like the next big change we're going to see in e-commerce over the next 1, 2, 3 years?
I feel like a lot of brands are going to be needing more of a creator involvement. You see like Feastables and you see Ryan Trahan, Joyride, Candy. These brands are overtaking the conglomerates that have been around for 100 years. So I think that the creator-driven e-commerce brands is where the industry is headed in some regards. Like even a lot of the legacy brands will probably be looking for influencers to become the face of their brand because it got to the point that people don't want to buy from Suits. They want to buy from other people. When you go to Target and you see the option between the corporate company or the guy that you watch on Sunday morning, you probably go for that.
You buy
one.
the Joyride.
Yeah,
right?
Every time.
I just found out 2 days ago that he's 6'3", Ryan?
I think 6'6".
6'6".
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wrong.
Yeah,
He's even taller.
yeah.
I can never tell watching his videos, so my kids like watching them. So
Yeah.
I'm watching all his videos.
Real tall guy.
You never really see him. He must hang out with other tall people, but you never really see him where that difference is so noticeable before.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So who's your favorite influencer now?
To be honest, I don't really watch a lot of like other people's YouTube, but I like Ryan. Ryan's really cool. I watched a lot of his stuff over the years. Favorite influencer? I don't know. I get a lot of influence and inspiration more so from people outside of my space.
Okay.
You know, I like looking at like other artists and my friends that are doing different stuff. I try not to be too deep into this world. Otherwise, you start sounding like everybody else.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So skills for success. Like if I ask you as an entrepreneur, give me the top 3 skills you need for success. What would you say those are?
You gotta have resilience because you're gonna fail a million times. You gotta know how to do marketing because with marketing, you could sell anything. And I would say, looking ahead for the future, you have to be very comfortable with using AI. Like, if you're somebody that's just getting started and trying to get ahead of the game, mastering that is the wave. I think we see like the iPhone App Store, right? And how when it first came out, like all these little funny games and stuff came out. And then all of a sudden now there's an Instagram that's the biggest company in the world. And now all of a sudden there's a Snapchat that's also a multi-billion-dollar company. A lot of people don't know this, but there's an AI App Store too. It's the same thing. And there's people that you've never heard of that are building apps for this platform. If you don't think that App Store is going to surpass the vintage Apple App Store that you've been seeing on your phone for 20 years, you're like, you've got the wrong idea completely. So if you can master AI, you can learn something about marketing, you can give yourself enough time to make it work, like that would put you ahead of just about everybody.
I'm going to ask you the difficult question here. How do you know when it's time to quit?
I don't know that.
So if you're running an e-commerce business though, right, and you start to get some sales, you're doing $100 a day in ads or whatever, some businesses, like either the product stinks, you miss the market, like it's just too late, but you might be getting these like small gradual ones. Oh, I got an order here, or like there's enough to keep you stringing along, but you're not coming out over that head. Like if you launch a business like that, what would you look at and go, all right, this is the time where I know I just got to fold this thing? Well,
there's a difference between quit and like test another product. If you're saying quit,
no, testing other product. Yeah.
Okay. I would say if you're testing it, you're getting some results in the first day and nobody's buying, nobody's clicking. I don't know. The way I look at it is like, anytime I've had a product that really popped off, I knew that it was going to work within the first like day or two.
Okay.
Like it gets sales, the comments look good, people are engaging, like it hits different, the winning products.
Okay.
So it's hard to give specific data and everything like that. But if it's not getting traction in the first couple of days, there's probably a better product out there.
And to be clear for the audience, that is reliant on actually spending on ads. You can't just launch a website and be like, hey, no one's buying
this
stuff.
This is purely about paid ads. Yeah. But to give a better time frame, like, give yourself like at least a week on some of these products, like a couple of days at least. Don't just launch it for a couple hours and say it's not working.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I want to pivot a little bit to workout. You mentioned workout before. Met you today, and I'm like, oh, he's in pretty good shape here. So what's your workout routine?
It's all over the place, to be honest with you. But throughout the years, I try to go to the gym like 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
If I don't go to the gym, I'll just work out at home, do like pull-ups, calisthenics, push-ups, all that stuff.
Okay.
I like to run. I play basketball. I think you just have to try to live an active lifestyle in general. Like, instead of trying to always be like, oh, I lift heavier than everybody else, like just make sure you're showing up to the gym, make sure you doing some stretching, like make sure you're playing sports. Like that's my principle, is just like just trying to live an active lifestyle, play sports, stretch, work out. I heard this thing like many years ago where it was like, imagine like living your whole life and never knowing the full potential of your body. And that is like sticks with me all the time. Like imagine I'm like 80 years old and I look back at myself when I was 20 and I didn't even try to see how strong I could get.
Yeah. Do you like running outdoors or on treadmills?
Outdoors. Yeah.
Outdoors?
I hate treadmills.
Yeah. What's your ideal temperature? Because it's hot down here at times, right? So
right now it's perfect.
It's beautiful out here.
Yeah, this is my ideal temperature, like 60 degrees. That's the best.
So you waking up, what time do you wake up in the morning, typically?
I don't really wake up at the same time every day.
No.
Wake up at like 8, 7.
Okay.
11.
All right. You have that luxury, right?
Yeah, I guess I would like to. It's one of the things that I would like to get a little more consistent on. But yeah, it is a luxury, I guess.
How about hobbies? What type of hobbies you have?
I DJ.
Okay.
I kickbox. Play basketball. Play chess.
Okay.
Those are my hobbies.
Oh, my son's getting in the chess right now. He's sneaky good.
Yeah. You probably could beat him before, and now you probably can't even.
I didn't even know he started, and he's like, "Dad, do you want to play chess today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I used to be in chess club in high school. This is a way back, long time ago. He whooped up on me. Like, it's been 20 some years since I played chess, but he whooped up on me the first time. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be rough.
Yeah. And kids, they're sharper. Like, they think faster. They see things that you don't see.
Yeah. So, you have a lot of friends that play chess, or it's like one or two that you got to be around where you know you
none
can
of
have a
my
good
friends
game?
play chess.
No.
I just play on my phone.
Okay.
My dad plays though, so I'll play with him sometimes. But it's the same situation. When I first started playing, he was way better than me. So he beat me every time. But now, gun to his head, he couldn't beat me in chess.
Okay.
I got way better than him.
Very good.
Yeah.
Do you ever do the Imposter? You know that move?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to come back with just kind of a fun question here, but I Easter egged it before. Sitting where you sit now, knowing what you know, if you go back to day one, what would you do different?
Buy Bitcoin. Seriously. What else would I do differently? I would have stuck with some of the first things that I started longer. A big mistake I made in my life was jumping from idea to idea to idea to idea. Like, I started doing YouTube back in 2010, 2011, like years ago. Imagine if that, like, I never stopped from that time. Imagine like I had one channel from 2011 and now we're in 2025. Imagine 14 years of me posting every week. I'd probably have one of the biggest channels in the world. I don't look at life this way, but like, it's worth thinking about. So I think in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have jumped ship from things so early and like saw things from a longer time horizon.
There's got to be a balance there, though, which I've got to envision is tough because you learn by moving. Like, you talked about lessons you learned by shutting that down too early. And, if I would have gone back and done that, I would have probably stuck it out a little bit more. I would have done this. Like, there's a lot of lessons learned in that. But if you stay with it, sometimes you miss those other lessons that you learn outside. And that's got to be a really tough balance. It's not really a question or something you can answer, but there's you learn in failure with whatever you do in life, right? And I think if you stick with something and you just try to nail that, you can have small failures, but you're not going to have those other things that kind of feed the rest of your holistic view. So I think it's a challenge.
Yeah, the other side of it is like, from doing all those things, I got this diversified set of skills that allowed me to succeed when I did go all in on one thing. Yeah. So in that regard, it's good.
YouTube, you have a second channel now. I mentioned inspirational type stuff. What made you want to start the inspirational channel?
Well, my main channel videos require an intense amount of effort and production, and I don't get to post as much over there as a result of that. So I wanted to figure out a way to make videos without putting so much effort into them.
Okay.
And then I started this second channel just one day on a whim. After I had sold the company, I was feeling a certain way about it, and I made a video talking about that. And the video just blew up overnight. Like, it's the only overnight success moment that I think I've ever had in my life, because the video went from 0 to 100,000 views in the first 2-3 days. And like, Ryan Trahan commented on it, and all these big YouTubers commented on it, and like, the channel just exploded. So I've just been posting videos there now almost every week, just talking about my life. It's like a journal.
I heard that guy's like 6'6".
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Do you have a preference for the types of videos you like? Do you like doing that versus the detailed,
I like
more
all.
choreographed?
I like all the videos.
Yeah.
Any excuse I can do to make a video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you see that one going? The inspirational side? Continuing?
I just see it as a journal.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the views on that channel or the subs, but it will grow. I think people like that type of stuff. They want more real content these days.
Yeah. Very good. Do you see YouTube changing a lot?
Yeah.
Since you've been doing it?
Like I said, I think the big change is that people want real stuff these days. Like, they want to learn from other people, not so much like characters.
And what's your biggest YouTube tip beyond, let's say, just be authentic and post the real stuff? But like, is there another tip? You hear a lot of people will say either thumbnails or consistency. And then some other people will say, well, you don't need to be consistent. It just needs to be real and it needs to be good. Any particular tips that you would give to someone who wants to either start a channel or kind of pour gas on the fire on theirs?
Learn how to tell a great story.
Okay. Easy enough.
That would be my biggest tip for YouTube.
Okay. How about a meal? You have one meal for the rest of your life. What do you think you're choosing?
Is health a factor in it? One meal for the rest?
No.
Oh, man, that's tough.
Well, give me one or both. Give me like the worst thing that you love, and then like live a good life.
No, like if I could eat anything every day for the rest of my life and like health didn't matter, I'd probably just eat burgers every day because I really like them.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you got the smash burgers. That would probably go with that. Yeah.
All right. So you walk up to a burger shop today. Like what are you getting on the burger?
Just a regular burger. Just like the classic with the cheese and the pickles and the ketchup and the mayo.
Okay.
Like the classic American burger, like Five Guys style.
All right. Jordan, thank you for your time today, man. Any questions for me before we close out here?
What's your ELO in chess?
Oh, I don't even know. What is ELO?
Like your ranking, like.
Oh God. Now, bad.
Okay, well maybe after this we'll have to play a game.
Okay. So I tell you, I say my son beats me. He's 12. So like,
he'll probably beat me too, if we're being honest. But yeah, man, it was good talking with you.
What's yours?
600. So
600.
No good.
I need to actually go through and see what mine actually is now. So I'll report back to you.
Okay.
We'll figure. I'll probably be like, I don't know, 2,000 or something.
Yeah, probably.
I'm getting my strategy back though. Like I completely forgot about like middle of the board stuff and all these things. So it's slowly coming back to me, but we're getting there.
Yes. Sounds about 2,000 to me.
Watch out, be like a 200. All right. So Jordan Welch, everyone. Jordan, thank you for your time. Loved having you here. Enjoyed the conversation. I know you gave a lot of thoughtful responses that I think our audience can use. You strike me as someone who's very genuine, very nice and thoughtful person. So I appreciate your time, your effort, and everyone go subscribe to him.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Guys, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yes.